Intervention. Should I intervene? How and why? Welcome back to more tough questions about addiction. My name is Joe Herzanek. I'd like to start by thanking our viewers last week who watched our question last week was how do I handle relapse? We had over 1,000 people watch that question last Thursday night. We're going to stick with Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and every Thursday night we're going to come up with a new question, a new topic around substance use and abuse. So tonight it's intervention. Should I intervene? How and why? And just as a little heads up, so to speak, next week we're going to be talking about long-term recovery. How and why do some people maintain long-term sobriety? Counting their sobriety not just in months and years, but in decades, in their whole life. There was a movie that came out, a documentary a while back called The Anonymous People, and they talk about the 25 million people that are living in America in long-term sobriety. So we'll talk about that next week. I have a special guest speaker that will show up for that particular question next week on long-term sobriety. But for tonight, for this one, intervention. Should I intervene? How and why? What does it really take to get an addict or an alcoholic to accept the help? Different approaches on how to intervene in this person's life. A lot of them are just sort of wing it and just hope for the best. Oftentimes it's a tough love type intervention where maybe a spouse or a parent will say, we're going to pack your bag and set it on the front porch, and if you don't go into rehab, then you're done with us. So that's not very effective. A lot of families get pretty frustrated and try that approach, but if we want to really do it effectively, I think we need to do some preparation around this intervention. Oftentimes you get just one really good shot, so to speak, at this intervention. So we may as well do it the right way. I like a particular book, Love First, by Jeff J., which is sort of the opposite of tough love. Jeff and Deborah J., who wrote this book many years ago, believe that you put love on the front end of the intervention. So what do they mean by that? Well, we're going to talk about that. But why must a person or a family member intervene in the life of someone who is their alcohol or drug use is out of control, the consequences are piling up, the person is in some stage of denial about the problem. At some point, someone, typically a family member or someone close, sometimes an employer, needs to intervene in this person's life. So why is that? Well, a good friend of mine, Michael Connolly, talked about the thinking process, and he says that people have free will choice to the extent that they are rational. Addicts and alcoholics have become irrational about their substance use and the thinking around that. Oftentimes they will want to defend it, they will play it down, it's not that big of a deal, I'll quit later. Lots and lots of excuses around why someone doesn't want to accept help and begin this journey towards recovery. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And I think oftentimes what's happened is it's been done the wrong way. I hear multiple times phone calls, emails, people contacting us about their loved one who needs to go back into treatment for the second, third, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth time. And what I scratch my head and think about is why so many multiple trips to rehab? And I believe that they never had a really family structured intervention. So a family structured intervention is where things are prepared in advance. We anticipate the excuses that the person may come up with. The right treatment facility, the right road to recovery has been talked about and planned on so that when this event happens, the family can take the person right from this intervention to wherever they've chosen is the best place to get help for their loved one. And finding the right place. In Jeff's book, Love First, and in my book also, Why Don't They Just Quit, there are lists of resources of reputable treatment facilities and programs websites that you can go to, find out and screen out places that may not be a good fit for your particular case. Typically, a family member is going to have some leverage. So what is leverage? Well, just to give you one example of a typical call we get at Changing Lives Foundation. At Changing Lives Foundation, we have a website which also lists a lot of resources, and we get a lot of inquiries to our website. A typical one is, my 24-year-old son has just got his second DUI, and we're struggling on what to do and how to give him help. Well, in the case of a 24-year-old son that's perhaps living with mom and dad, the family has some leverage. So the family leverage, or what they can, how they can approach this, is say in a structured way that we will help you in your journey towards recovery. We'll allow you to continue to live in the home. Since you don't have a driver's license anymore, we'll help you with transportation. We will let you live here until you get on your feet. But the condition for that is that you embark on this road to recovery, you accept the help that we have to offer, and this is the help that we want to offer. So then you would present some type of facility or treatment plan or sober living home or whatever it might be. There's churches that offer some help, there's Celebrate Recovery, there's website Alcoholics or Christians in Recovery, multiple places, resources in Jeff's book, also in my book, also on our website, changinglivesfoundation.com. So take advantage of those resources. Find the best place for your loved one. Do it right the first time. And then it's up to the individual. They're either going to accept or reject your offer of help. So then it's not the family that's become the bad guy. The family's offered a resource, offered help, offered a great opportunity for the person to change their life, and they will either accept or reject. If it's done properly, if it's done the way Jeff describes in his book, the vast majority of the time, over 75% of the time, the person will accept the help that's being offered. Then the journey begins. It's a road to recovery. It's a process, not an event. So even goes into that too, because the family needs some support as well. Things like, again, Celebrate Recovery, Al-Anon, those types of groups are a great support for the family. The family is going to only be able to do what they are emotionally built up and prepared to do. So the emotional preparation for the family is also found sometimes in a few support groups, even for the family members. So take advantage of our websites. Jeff's website is lovefirst.net. He even has a series of videos where he teaches how to do the intervention right off his website. It's free. Our website is free. Lots of resources out there. Lots of people that want to help with this. But we need to be a little proactive, and not just proactive, but do things the right way. So, thanks for watching. Next week, long-term recovery. How and why do some maintain long-term sobriety? Thanks for tuning in. God bless.